This is the Speaking of Writers podcast. I'm Steve Richards. New York Times bestselling and award-winning author Adriana Trigiani is the consummate storyteller, the adored novelist who's also a celebrated screenwriter, producer, director, and fellow podcast host, too. Pays homage to her Italian roots in her fiction, consistently bringing both laughter and tears to her devoted readers ever since her debut 25 years ago with Big Stone Gap. The view from Lake Como is everything an immersive summer read should be: fresh, funny, and heart-wrenching, with perfectly imperfect characters that readers will feel deeply connected to, with its vivid depiction of the complexities of familial relationships. This contemporary novel is a love letter to big Italian American families, which I can relate to, old world roots, and daughters who learn to live life on their own terms. Adriana Trigiani is the New York Times bestselling author of 21 books of fiction and nonfiction, including The Good Left Undone. Her work has been published in 38 languages around the world. An award-winning playwright, TV writer, producer, and filmmaker, Trigiani wrote and directed the major motion picture of her debut novel, Big Stone Gap, adapted her novel, Valentine, for television, and directed the award-winning documentary, Queens of the Big Time, among others. Adriana grew up in the mountains of Southwest Virginia. I'm happy to have Adriana join me here on the Speaking of Writers podcast. Welcome.
Hello, Steve. Thank you for having me on your phenomenal show.
Thank you. So, as I mentioned, you've been writing novels now for 25 years. Where did the idea for this book come from?
Well, I think like over the swath of these books, I'm writing about my family, and which I love to do. And I have a tree full of great characters in my family. And I was always intrigued by my great grandmother, who was Venetian. But I didn't want to write a novel, another historical fiction novel, which, by the way, is never my intention. I just try to write the story in the time that it. But I thought, wouldn't it be fun? People need to laugh. Why don't I take her story and set it now and put it in contemporary times and have fun with it and turn it into a comedy? And that's what I did.
The Italian American family, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
is on full display in this new book. How much of the family dynamics come from your own experience?
Well, certainly the energy in scenes. And I think one of the reasons that I came to this as a playwright and writing scripts and characters, because I hear distinctive voices because of the table I grew up around. So I hear different voices, different intonations, different meanings in dialogue, and that's all my family. But this particular family, I sort of made a meatball out of a lot of different ingredients of different people. But in terms of the main character, Jess, I really saw her right away, and then the whole family appeared.
Yeah, speaking of Jess, Giuseppina Capodimonte Barada Bilancia
Yeah.
is her full name. What a great name. Great character name. How did you come up with that name for her?
Well, my great grandmother was Giuseppina. And then the other names are names from that are indicative of the regions that I'm writing about: Tuscany, the Lombardy region, little bit of Puglia in there. That's where I got, and the names. Some of them have significance to me, like Barada. That's a Rosetan name from Rosetta, Pennsylvania, my dad's hometown, and I always wanted to use it. Anthony Barada was a professor, so I wanted to imbue it. She was been an Italian major, Italian culture major. My character Jess, and so they all have meaning to me. Every name has meaning.
Tell me about Jess's profession, the marble business.
She's a draftsman in her uncle Louis Capodimonte's marble importing business. Now, Louis is the brother of Jess's mother. Okay, so Jess's mom and Louis Capodimonte are brother and sister. And what happens is this novel unspools is that you find out that her name's Philomena. Philly is not good with the public and didn't get along with her brother. And through the years, they've had feuds. usually initiated by Philomena. So she has a fraught mom, and her father's kind of a gentle guy. But then as you find out what happens, you find out that things were done to her without her consent. And then that's when the novel takes off.
There are two Lake Comos in this book. Of course, many people know the famous one in Italy. What's the one in New Jersey?
Well, that's a very interesting story. And when I discovered it, this novels take years to write. And I wanted to write something that took place in Spring Lake and Lake Como, first of all, because the church St. Catherine's is completely made of Carrara marble. So once I was going to do marble, I said, well, I've got to do that church. And my husband and I went to a wedding down there about 15 years ago. I took pictures. I was like so into it. And then I found out, and this is interesting, that there was a town between Belmar and Spring Lake called South Belmar, but they changed their name. They took a vote, and there's a Lake Como and there's the ocean. So they ended up naming the town after the lake because the property values were going down when it was South Belmar. And I chronicle that in the book also. But Lake Como was just a prettier concept. And do you know it worked? And I'm going down there next week, Steve, to sort of celebrate with the town dignitaries. That happened 20 years ago. They changed the name to Lake Como.
Wow. There is someone special, I understand, that's doing the audiobook narration. Can you tell us more about that? Who is it?
I'm really excited. The Oscar winning actress, Mira Sorvino, who's from New Jersey. So it's exciting.
That's great. Yeah. You're doing a multi-city tour this summer that you're calling a book tour like no other.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the first 10 stops are shows called the Lake Como Show. Since I write about family, I called my brother. My brother and I used to sing at weddings, and then later he became a musician and a singer-songwriter, and he has a day job too. He leases heavy equipment. Just so everybody knows, there are some people in the family that are responsible and have day jobs, unlike their artist sister. But anyway, be that as it may, I called him up and I said, hey, I want to do something completely different. I feel that the book tours were getting a little stale and a little boring. And, there all kinds of stuff's going on that I don't particularly approve of. Authorless events where you can get your signed book at the bookstore, but the author doesn't show up. Like, what's the point of that? Okay, fine. But I'm here to serve my reader. And I thought the best way to serve my reader was give them a great show where they get the book. So that's how it kind of was hatched. And I'm a playwright, so I wrote the play.
How has your work as a filmmaker influenced your writing?
Well, really, Steve, to write a novel or to write a play or anything, you sit a lot. And I call directing a standing job. So I try to alternate them a little bit. Now, it's hard to raise money to make movies, but when I do, I'm thrilled and to participate. And so I'm doing it right now with The View from Lake Como. So I would say that I like to do both things, but what influences the movie always is the book. But you can't literally translate a book into a movie. You have to be a dramatist. So I'm very careful about that. What I choose, how I do it.
I understand you have a library in your home that's quite unique.
Yes.
Why and how is it unique?
Well, Steve, first of all, my husband's very kind because he built the library for me. I had rooms full of books and I couldn't enjoy them the way I wanted to. And so he built me this incredible library for 2,000 books. But in the house, there's about 4,000 books. But the 2,000 are the books. Like, I have lots of signatures of people that you would love to see. That I've collected when I've toured, and some I had on my whole life. And so I can sit in my library and I feel the love of those books. See, to me, like a book, it's a living art form. It feels alive to me. And I have feelings when there's properties in those books. So it enriches my life.
You've
Really
been
does.
you've been writing novels for 25 years, as I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier. Social media has changed the game. Do you hear from readers a lot and interact with them on social media?
I do, but I have to tell you, before social media, they would just email me directly and we would do book clubs on the phone. And we still do that sometimes. I try to appear more in person when I can. Um, but I always was really tight with my readership. Social media, however, Steve, as you know, is just a whole different experience. And it's a beast that has to be fed sometimes several times a day.
Yes.
So I have a lot of help with that with Andrea. Andrea does a lot of that. So you have to put everything out there. It's just, I would prefer a different way to do it, but I have to say there's some good things about it.
You've also dipped into the podcast world, speaking
Yeah.
of the digital world too. Huge supporter of other authors, which we love here on the Speaking of Writers podcast. Tell us more about why that's important to you.
Well, first of all, thank you for doing it. This is
Thank you.
really beautiful. My mom was a librarian. First thing she said to me when she looked at my first book tour 25 years ago, there's not a lot of libraries on here. She said, go back to your publisher and tell them you want to go. Half of these should be libraries. And that has been my kind of thing. Now, during the pandemic, everybody panicked, and I had started this Facebook Live show, and then I just ramped it up. And I started to try to help people that had books coming out. And believe me, there's many people. There was like the Almighty Blaze. Is it called the Mighty Blaze? Caroline Levitt's thing up in Boston. And my friends, Mary Kay Andrews, Kristen Harmel, Kristen Woodson Harvey, and Patty Henry started Friends in Fiction. It's gigantic. So people were doing it for each other. And then I realized that I really liked the one-on-one of it. And that's when we started the podcast. And we're about 100 episodes in.
That's great.
And it's fun.
What's the best thing about being an author?
Well, you know what popped into my head is that I get to work alone. And then, but to work alone, that's not an end in itself. Then you got to figure out why you're alone, how you're going to serve the reader. And I hope I've done both of those things well.
What's the one book, if there was one, that made you want to become a writer?
Jane Eyre,
Hmm.
Charlotte's Web, Pippi Longstocking, Beverly Cleary's The Luckiest Girl, Louise Fitzhugh's Harriet the Spy, and the entire collection of the Bobbs Merrill Childhood of Famous Americans from Babe Dietrichson's Zaharias to, I don't even know. There was like 150 of them. I read them all.
Did you
picture?
Did you always know that you were a pretty good storyteller?
No, I think I did not know that, but I knew that I wanted to be an artist, and as that I would have to grow into that. I'm a little slow on the uptake, Steve. Honestly, like it took me writing television to understand how much it was written, because I needed to get a job and make money. I was so broke, and that's how I got into TV. But I ended up loving it. Movies, the same thing. I'm very interested in the screenplays, and then the dramatization. I always directed, and I love directing actors because I love actors. And I like making things beautiful if I can do it. So I think they kind of all feed each other, really.
What do you find the most appealing in the book? The plot, the characters, the language?
Can I say all of it? I think it's really fun. I rewrite sentences, I don't know, thousands of times sometimes. That's why, like sometimes people will write to you and they're kind of dismissive of it. And you'll go, oh, I didn't reach him. I put that on me. Then I realized sometimes you can't please anyone. You can't please somebody, no matter what you. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that are
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah.
People you cannot please, and then read something else. You don't need to read me. Is that right?
But what's the feeling like when you get that special note message on social media that you reach them and move them? What is that like?
Well, that is every time a thrill,
Mm.
and it was in the beginning, but it's more like a gratitude thing. Oh my God, you got it. You understood what I was trying to do, and it moved you. Because really, the role of art in a person's life is to elevate the soul. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
Look at a painting or some piece of couture or a pair of shoes, or you read a great book, or you read a beautiful poem. I mean, it really doesn't matter what the art form is, piece of sculpture or pottery, anything tactile. I mean, the art that engages all the five senses elevates mankind, humankind.
What genres do you especially enjoy reading?
You'd be surprised to know I'm a nonfiction reader.
Mm.
I try to. A life story to me is like, oh, what a way to spend a weekend. Yeah, I like. But then I think about novels. Novels are very often life stories. They have scope and feeling, characters, and everything, and I love that too. But nonfiction, oh my gosh, when you come and visit, you can't believe how many
Mm.
nonfiction books I have. I really love them.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my pile across the room here. I've got the Desi Arnaz biography. Todd
That's
Purdom. I just had
Todd
him on.
Purdum's new
Yep.
one. Did you have him on?
I just had him on this week, and a
He's
biography
really
of
good.
he
He's
is.
really good. He did a gorgeous book about Rogers and Hammerstein.
Yes. Yep. And the other one is the
He,
new this biography on Edgar Allan Poe too, which is
now,
great.
who
So
wrote that one?
Richard Copley.
Okay, I'm
Richard
writing it
Copley.
down.
A couple of book tips here for some summer reading, in addition to Adriana Trigiani's The View from Lake Como. And
Okay.
finally, what is next for you in your writing?
I'm in a blizzard right now. Some snow with two little girls. And I've been dreaming about this for about a year and a half. And it's a story, but that's all I could tell you right
That's a
now.
good tease right there. A blizzard, two girls. That's a story. All right. Well, this one is out now. Great summer beach read. The View from Lake Como, Adriana Trigiani. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, dear Steve.
And this is the Speaking of Writers podcast. Thanks for watching. I'm Steve Richards.